Listen, they laughed when you said you were going to change. They laughed when you said you'd build something out of nothing. They laughed when you said you'd leave your comfort zone, chase that dream, start from scratch. They laughed not because they were cruel, because they couldn't see what you saw. They couldn't feel what burned in your chest. They couldn't hear that inner voice whispering, "You're not done yet." See, every generation has a few who get laughed at first, the ones who walk alone, who believe when belief makes no logical sense. They're the ones who turn mockery into motivation, pain into power, and vision into victory. That's the truth about greatness. It's born in isolation. It's forged in the silence when no one's clapping for you, when the world's too busy doubting to notice the work you're putting in. You want to know when the world starts believing, when your results start speaking. Edison, they called him a fool. 8,000 failures. They said, a man chasing light in the dark. But he didn't stop. He couldn't stop because he knew every failure wasn't the end. It was evidence that he was one step closer to his answer. They laughed at Walt Disney when his first studio went bankrupt, said he lacked imagination. Now his imagination built worlds generations escape into. They mocked Henry Ford when his first 3 businesses collapsed. This man doesn't understand business, they said. Now his name is the blueprint of innovation. They called Oprah delusional when she said she'd be more than a talk show host. They called Jobs arrogant when he refused to compromise his vision. They said Elon was insane for dreaming about Mars. And that's the thing about vision. It's only clear to the visionary. To everyone else, it looks like madness. So when they laugh, don't take it personally. Take it seriously. Because laughter is often the sound the world makes before it understands you. See, average minds laugh at what they don't understand. They point, they doubt, they whisper. Not because they're bad people, but because it's safer to ridicule than to risk. It's easier to laugh than to leap. But while they're laughing, you're building. While they're talking, you're working. While they're scrolling, you're studying. While they're sleeping, you're preparing. Every snicker, every side eye, every word of doubt, it all becomes fuel. Because when you've been underestimated long enough, your silence becomes dangerous. There's power in staying quiet. There's power in letting your grind do the talking. There's power in walking into rooms where they once laughed and watching their faces change when they realize you did it. You became the example. The same people who mocked you now study you. The same ones who dismissed your ideas now quote you. The same ones who said, "You'll never make it," now ask, "How did you do it?" That's the transformation from ridicule to respect, from doubt to demonstration. And the only bridge between those 2 points is work. See, you don't argue with critics. You outperform them. You don't respond with words. You respond with consistency. You don't prove them wrong by shouting louder. You prove them wrong by staying longer. Because greatness isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows, in repetition, in rejection, in relentless persistence. When nobody's watching, that's when legends are made. When nobody believes, that's when destiny is shaped. When nobody supports, that's when faith becomes your best friend. You might not see results yet. That's okay. You're planting seeds. And every seed looks small before it becomes a forest. Every idea looks crazy before it changes the world. Every dream looks impossible before it becomes inevitable. They laughed at Noah for building the ark under clear skies. They laughed at the Wright brothers when they said man could fly. They laughed at Mandela when he said freedom was coming. They laughed until history stopped laughing. So let them laugh, let them talk, let them doubt. Because when the storm comes, when the light breaks, when the results start to bloom, you won't need to say a word. They'll know, they'll feel it. Every hour you sacrificed, every moment you stayed up while they rested, every setback that became a setup, every scar that became strength. That's when they'll realize you weren't chasing validation. You were chasing transformation. You weren't trying to prove them wrong. You were proving yourself right. And when you finally arrive, not at fame, not at fortune, but at fulfillment, that's when you'll smile, not out of revenge, out of revelation. Because now you understand their laughter was necessary. It was the mirror you needed, the fire you couldn't light on your own, the friction that sparked your flame. They laughed, but that laughter became the rhythm of your grind. Every smirk was a drumbeat. Every insult was a metronome. keep in time with your hustle. You learn to move in silence. You learn to make pain productive. You learn that revenge isn't payback, it's progress. Because the greatest revenge has never been a word, it's results. It's walking into the room that once rejected you and being invited to speak. It's watching people wear your name, quote your lines, buy your ideas. The same people who once told you it would never work. But let's be clear, this journey isn't poetic in real time. It's brutal, it's lonely. It's the kind of path that breaks the weak and humbles the proud. Because before you become the example, you'll be the lesson. Before you become the teacher, you'll be tested. Before you stand tall, you'll be brought to your knees. That's the process. That's the price. That's the part they don't post about. Everybody loves the highlight reel, the awards, the headlines, the applause. But nobody talks about the years of being overlooked. Nobody claps for the nights you cried on your way home. Nobody sees the moments you almost quit, when you question everything, even yourself. But that's where greatness hides, in those unseen moments. When you've got every reason to stop and you keep going anyway. When you feel forgotten, but still give your best. When you have no audience, no recognition, no support, and you still show up. Because greatness isn't built by people who feel like it. It's built by people who do it anyway. Every master was once miserable. Every warrior once wanted to surrender. Every success story was written in tears before it was printed in ink. Lincoln lost 8 elections before becoming president. Carnegie worked 15-hour shifts for pennies before owning steel. Ford was fired from his own company before revolutionizing the world. You see the victory, but what you don't see is the violence it took to evolve. The inner battle, the mental war, the emotional exhaustion of believing in something no one else could see. And that's what separates dreamers from doers. Dreamers talk about what they want. Doers bleed for it. Dreamers fantasize about someday. Doers wake up early today. You've got to ask yourself, do I want this because it looks good or because it means something? Because if it's just about status, you'll quit when it gets hard. But if it's about purpose, you'll endure anything to see it through. Purpose doesn't panic under pressure. Purpose doesn't need permission. Purpose doesn't negotiate with comfort. That's why most people never make it, because the process feels like punishment. But those who do, they learn that pain is not punishment. Pain is preparation, discipline. That's the difference. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not motivation. It's discipline, the quiet power of doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is waking up when the world is still asleep. It's saying nah to what's easy. It's saying yes to what hurts now but heals later. The dream is the vision, but discipline is the vehicle. Everybody wants the destination, but few are willing to make the drive. You can have the biggest dream in the world, but without discipline, it's just imagination. And imagination without execution is wasted potential. Discipline means you train your mind before you train your body. You master your emotions before you master your environment. You silence doubt with doing. You can't control who laughs. You can't control who doubts. But you can control what you do next, because every time you choose effort over excuses, you're rewriting your story. Every time you stay consistent when it hurts, you're building credibility with your future self. And one day, that future self will thank you. It'll thank you for staying when quitting felt easier. It'll thank you for believing when it didn't make sense. It'll thank you for grinding when no one said your name. That's what it means to become the example, to embody what others only preach, to live the message instead of posting it. People don't need another motivational quote. They need a proof of concept. They need to see it's possible. And maybe that's your role, to become the living evidence that faith and effort still work. You might not realize it yet, but someone's watching. Someone's paying attention. Someone's quietly saying, if they can do it, maybe I can too. And that's how legacies begin, not with noise, but with influence. Not with a crowd, but with impact. So when the world underestimates you, smile, because they're only seeing your now, not your next. They're judging the seed, unaware of the forest it's becoming. Every oak was once a buried seed. Every champion was once a broken dreamer. Every example was once the joke in the room. So when they laugh, let them. They're not laughing at you. They're laughing at the version of you that they think will never change. But one day soon that version will be gone. And what's left will make them silent. See, what they don't understand is that every laugh, every insult, every ounce of doubt you've endured, it was shaping you. It was chiseling away the weakness, carving out the hesitation, sharpening your focus. Because before destiny crowns you, it cuts you. Before purpose elevates you, it empties you. Before you rise, you must be refined. That's the part nobody sees, the refinement. It's the invisible process that separates those who want the throne from those who can carry it. You see, success isn't just given to you, it's earned through your endurance. You don't stumble into greatness, you grow into it. And growth hurts. Growth feels like chaos before it becomes clarity. It feels like loss before it becomes liberation. You'll lose people, you'll lose comfort, you'll lose pieces of who you used to be. Because transformation always demands a trade. You cannot become who you're meant to be and stay who you were. So yes, it hurts, but that pain is sacred. That pain means you're in motion. That pain means you're shedding your old self. Because resilience isn't born in calm waters. It's born in storms when everything's shaking and you still refuse to sink. When you hit rock bottom, remember, rock bottom isn't punishment, it's foundation. It's where you rebuild with better materials. It's where you learn what truly matters. It's where you stop chasing validation and start chasing vision. The truth is, adversity isn't your enemy, it's your architect. It designs your character, defines your mindset, and disciplines your soul. Without it, you'd stay soft. Without it, you'd never know your own strength. Look back through history, every revolution, every breakthrough, every miracle came after resistance. The Wright brothers faced ridicule before flight. Malcolm X faced prison before purpose. Nelson Mandela faced isolation before freedom. Martin Luther King Jr. faced violence before victory. The world always resists before it respects, and the universe always tests before it trusts. You're being tested not to show your weakness, but to reveal your worth. The delay isn't denial, it's development. You're not behind, you're being built. See, purpose doesn't move at your pace. It moves at the pace of your preparation. And the deeper your purpose, the greater your preparation must be. You can't skip the seasons. You can't rush the rain. You can't fast forward the fire. Every challenge you're facing right now, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. It's teaching you resilience. It's teaching you patience. It's teaching you how to stay grounded when everything else shakes. Resilience isn't the absence of pain. It's mastery over it. It's not pretending you're okay. It's pushing forward even when you're not. It's showing up tired, showing up afraid, showing up uncertain, and still giving everything you've got. Because when you can't control the outcome, control your output. When you can't control what they say, control what you become. Most people let pain define them, but the greats, they let pain refine them. They turn pressure into power. They turn wounds into wisdom. They turn rejection into redirection. And that's the pivot. That's where the transformation begins. When you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what's this trying to teach me? When you stop seeing obstacles as enemies and start seeing them as opportunities, you start to realize the pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. It was the divine whisper saying, I'm getting you ready for something greater. And once you understand that everything changes, you stop running from hard things. You start running toward them because you finally see pressure doesn't destroy diamonds, it creates them. And if you're under pressure right now, maybe it's because something precious is forming inside you. So don't curse the weight, carry it. Because that weight builds muscle, it builds credibility. It builds the kind of strength that can't be faked. Remember this, your story will inspire others not because of your success, but because of your struggle. People don't connect to perfection, they connect to perseverance. They connect to the scars, the setbacks, the moments you could have quit, but didn't. That's what makes you the example, not the trophies, not the titles, not the applause. It's the endurance, it's the courage. It's the unbreakable will to keep moving forward when every door seems locked. And one day, the same people who laughed will look at you and say, you got lucky, but you'll know it wasn't luck. It was the lonely nights. It was the invisible work. It was the relentless faith that refused to die. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation, and you've been preparing in silence for years. You've been building quietly while they mocked loudly. You've been mastering your craft while they were distracted. You've been planting roots while they were chasing applause. And now, your time is coming, not because someone handed it to you, but because you earned it. And when it arrives, stay humble. Don't throw their laughter back at them, because if you do, you become what they were, small. Instead, let your success speak softly. Let your peace be the loudest sound in the room, because real power doesn't shout, it shines. They laughed when you started. They doubted when you stumbled. They ignored when you persisted. But now they'll have no choice but to acknowledge what you become, because you didn't just win, you transformed. And this is where it all shifts. This is where laughter turns into silence, where the same people who doubted you fall quiet, not out of guilt, but out of awe, because now they're witnessing what belief looks like when it refuses to die. You see, when you finally step into your purpose, you don't just change your life, you start changing everything around you. The energy shifts, the air feels different. The same places that once rejected you now make room for you. The same doors that once slammed shut now swing wide open. And you realize something profound. It was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving to yourself that you were built for this. Because deep down, even when the world told you to quit, something inside whispered, not yet. And that voice, that quiet, persistent voice, was your calling. It was the truth that no one else could hear, guiding you through every storm, every heartbreak, every failure that tried to bury you. That voice said, keep going. When you were exhausted, when you were broke, when you were forgotten, when you felt invisible. That's the difference between those who quit and those who rise. The ones who rise listen to that voice. They nurture it, they feed it with faith. They protect it when doubt tries to drown it, because that voice is your compass. It's your divine instruction. It's the sound of destiny calling you by name. And when you follow it long enough, you find something extraordinary. You start to attract everything that matches your frequency. The right people, the right opportunities, the right timing. You realize that you never had to chase, you had to become. Because once you become, what's meant for you begins to recognize you. See, the world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're ready for. And all those years of being underestimated, all those moments of being laughed at, they were the process that made you ready. They taught you humility when you wanted recognition. They taught you patience when you wanted progress. They taught you endurance when you wanted escape. And now that you've grown through it, you finally understand the gift inside the struggle. It wasn't there to break you. It was there to build you. Because strength without suffering is an illusion. Wisdom without wounds is fragile. Success without sacrifice is temporary. Every scar on your soul has meaning. Every loss had a lesson. Every delay was divine timing disguised as disappointment. You had to lose friends to find focus. You had to lose comfort to find calling. You had to be laughed at to learn how to stand tall when no one stands with you. And that's why you become unshakable. Because now you don't need validation. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You've learned that peace is louder than praise. That purpose is more powerful than popularity. That progress, real progress, doesn't always get likes, but it changes lives. You see, legacy isn't built in noise. It's built in impact. It's built in how many people are lifted by your example. It's built in the lives you touch without even realizing it. Because somewhere right now, there's a version of you, 10 years younger, broken, uncertain, watching you. And they're saying, if they could rise from that, maybe I can too. That's the full circle. That's what this was all for. Not the fame, not the recognition, not the applause, but the transformation. You became the light you once needed. You became the hope you once prayed for. You became the example you once searched for. And now, when they laugh at someone else, you'll be the one to say, don't stop. I've been there. Because you know what it feels like to be doubted. You know what it feels like to be dismissed. You know what it feels like to walk through fire and come out shining. And that empathy, that understanding is what turns success into significance. Anybody can chase success, but only a few choose significance. Because success is about you. Significance is about others. When you shift from chasing applause to chasing impact, everything changes. Money becomes a tool, not a master. Fame becomes a platform, not a prison. Power becomes purpose. That's what the great ones understood. That legacy is not about being remembered. It's about being useful. It's about leaving something in people, not just behind you. Look at Gandhi. Look at Mother Teresa. Look at Martin, at Malcolm, at Mandela. They weren't chasing followers. They were chasing freedom. They weren't addicted to attention. They were obsessed with purpose. And that's your next evolution, to rise beyond the need to prove yourself. Because once you've proven that you can rise, your mission becomes helping others rise too. That's what it means to truly become the example. You turn your pain into purpose, your journey into a map, your story into a strategy. You stop telling people what to do and start showing them what's possible. So keep building, keep growing, keep walking in purpose. Because one day, the same laughter that once echoed behind your back will echo in admiration. One day, the same people who mocked your dream will say, I always believed. And you'll smile, not in arrogance, but in gratitude. Because you'll finally understand that their doubt was your discipline. Their laughter was your motivation. Their disbelief was your teacher. They laughed until you became the example. And now the world listens when you speak, not because of your success, but because of your story. You are the proof that no one can define your destiny but you. You are the evidence that resilience rewrites ridicule. You are the living reminder that faith plus work equals miracles. So when the next person tells you your dream is impossible, smile, because now you know how this story ends. They'll laugh again. They always do. But one day soon, they'll tell your story as proof that they were wrong. And when that day comes, you won't need to say a word. Your life, your discipline, your growth, your impact will say it for you, because they laughed until you became the example.